All right, we are live. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back to another episode of Ask a Clutter Boss. It is Tuesday, December 10th. I am Jess Marcy. I'm your Clutter Boss, answering your questions for today. It's so nice to log on here and see folks already in the comments saying hello and good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Mary and Madonna and Denise, it's so nice to see you here. If you're joining us live, please say hello in the comments. And if you're here on replay, give us a hashtag replay. Good morning, Carrie. Nice to see you. So we have a couple of questions going through the forums today, and I am going to dive right into them. The first question is, it's a pretty lengthy question, so I'm going to just sum it up here. And believe me, lengthy questions are good. I really appreciate them. It is about helping a sibling declutter a collection. In this case, the collection is crafts. And the writer offers a bunch of different strategies that she has shared with her sister and just asks, like, what would you do? Or how do I handle this? So I have some general thoughts about helping family members declutter. It can be really tricky. It's the easiest way to say it. It can be really, really complicated to help family members declutter, and it can be very complicated to accept help from family members when it comes to decluttering. As we know, families are unique. There's a lot of emotion, like long-standing emotional patterns that come along with families. And for some reason, it's easier to be judgy with our family members sometimes than it is about other people. So if you are helping somebody else declutter, I want to be very clear that they need to want you to expressly want you to help them. If this family member does not expressly want you to help, then I think your time and energy would probably be spent doing something else. If you have a lot of clutter in your home, as we all know, because we are watching a live stream about decluttering. So this is something that we are all struggling with. And I think many people struggle with this. I would say like most Americans struggle with clutter, the mental health issues that can lead to or result from clutter. And if you have a lot of clutter in your home, there's probably also some anxiety or depression or some other mental health manifestation that is happening. The two just go hand in hand. So if you see somebody who has a lot of clutter and they are resistant to having your help, or they act like it's not a big deal, and maybe it's not for them. I mean, we don't know, right? But I would say maybe spend some time with that person in a different way that is going to fill up their soul and help them with the mental health side of things. So now we know from many, many scientific studies that people are mentally and emotionally stronger when they have a strong community. And that is why all of our decluttering work, or the vast majority of our decluttering work, is done in the context of community. Community crushes clutter. Community supports mental health. Community does so many things. So if you have a friend or family member who is struggling with clutter and they have not expressly asked you to help them declutter, then something you can do that can generally support this and move this in a direction that can lead to a more peaceful house and a more peaceful life is maybe go for a walk with them, invite them out for coffee, engage with this friend or family member in a way that is going to support their mental health. And that can have a domino impact in supporting their decluttering also, because if you're feeling better, you are more likely to tackle something that is very overwhelming, which clutter can be very overwhelming. If this person has expressly asked you to help them, some things that you can offer to do are to actually take the donations to the donation center, to remove the trash from the space, to clean the space. I think it's very difficult to help other people declutter when they're your family members, because you can't make those decisions. And we can never make decisions about clutter for somebody else. If they are of full mental capacity, then they have to make the decisions about what to keep and what to toss on their own, period. And just think about how it would feel if somebody chose for you what to keep and what to toss. It's basically saying, I believe this is important to you and I believe this is not important to you. And if you tell me this is important to you and I disagree with you, I'm going to take it anyway and trash it. It can be highly traumatic or re-traumatizing to make those decisions for somebody else, for the re-traumatizing for the other person. So many of our clients share stories of coming home as children to a cleared out room or moving and losing stuff. These experiences that deeply shaped their relationship with stuff today. It is never okay to tell somebody else that they have to throw something out. That is their decision. So that's why it's really complicated to help other people declutter. But there are many things that you can do that can support their mental health, that can lead to them feeling stronger and ready to declutter on their own. I also think it's okay to share about our communities. Our communities are incredibly supportive. They are a great safe space for somebody to go and work through their clutter. Now, we have had situations in the past where people did not want their family members in this community with them because it felt too vulnerable, or they found out that their friends were in this large community also, and it was a little bit uncomfortable. So just bear all of this in mind as you are thinking about helping somebody else. There's a lot of ways that you may have the best intentions to be helping that are not actually helpful to the other person. And this is just because nobody teaches us how to do this. There's no manual on how to help somebody else declutter, how to be in these relationships. It's okay if there has been a misstep in the past. It's okay. It is a point to actually communicate about and work through, and it will ultimately strengthen your relationship if you're open to having that conversation. But just know that it seems like an easy thing to help somebody close to you declutter, but it may be way more tricky and complicated than you think. Um, Another thing that you can offer that might be helpful is, I mean, besides helping with the cleaning aspects of decluttering, I think that's a really good one. But if you know somebody who is struggling and just feeling super, super overwhelmed this holiday season, consider instead of giving them more stuff, which can add to the clutter, consider gifting them a service, like maybe a house cleaning, a car cleaning, any service that could alleviate some of their stress and everyday burden that they're okay with receiving. I know sometimes some people don't like to be gifted a cleaning service. Have that conversation and gift a service that can be even like going and getting your hair done, or these things that can kind of take us out of our everyday and not add to our financial burden. Really huge. I mean, a massage, right? Know your people, and know what type of service they would be interested in. And don't be afraid to ask questions and talk about it and open up these lines of communication. All right. Um, let's see. Community crushes clutter. I think I've heard you say that before. What is that? You have to hear something 7 times before you hear something. I don't know what the actual statistic is, but I used to have a job where I was basically a communications director, and I would try to get information in front of people 10 times. That was my personal goal because there's so much information out there. And I do think you have to hear and see things many, many, many times before you actually hear or see them, or before they're relevant to you in your life. So that was my goal. But yeah, you have to hear and see things a lot. Okay, so for me, the help I like is for someone to sit with me and be a runner while I make the decisions. That is such a powerful way that you can ask somebody else to support you. Just sit with me. I know that a lot of decluttering and clutter is loneliness. And I found this often when I was working one-on-one with clients in their homes, that a lot of times people just wanted me to be there because they were lonely. And this is a lonely process to go through. And I was okay with that. And yes, that is oftentimes what my role as a professional organizer was to be the runner, to be the person who's moving the items out, to be the person who's there to give a hug, to be the person who's vacuuming and wiping down shelves and just helping the process move along. But that's also a slightly different thing because I was hired help. So the relationship, the pre-existing relationship did not generally exist. Anyway, that's a really good this topic is a really good discussion point. I am so glad that it was asked on the questionnaire form. And if you don't have that form and you have a question, just we'll pop it in here. But thank you to that. Now there's a few more questions. Let me just scroll over here and see. Forget how to navigate this so easily. Okay. I know it needs to be done, but why can't I get started? I know it needs to be done, but why can't I get started? Probably because you're really overwhelmed. It's a huge task, decluttering. It's exhausting to live with a lot of clutter. So probably you're actually getting tired from the clutter. Making decisions uses glucose and oxygen. So it literally tires us out. That's why if you are in a situation where you have to make a lot of decisions or it's very emotional, you're draining your body of glucose and oxygen. And that is why you're exhausted. You're emotionally exhausted afterwards. You feel physically exhausted from the emotion of it because it actually does take resources, energetic resources to process through emotion. And decluttering is a lot of emotional things to process through. So here's the thing though, you know, it needs to be done. Why can't I get started? I want to challenge this a little bit because you can get started. And I think if we tell ourselves over and over again, I can't get started, it's too big of a project, I'm overwhelmed, I can't get started, I can't get started. Yeah, you're going to believe that. But guess what? You can get started. You can do 5 minutes. You can every single day do 5 minutes of decluttering. Everyone can. So find those 5 minutes and just commit to working on something for 5 minutes and just see how that goes. I guarantee you'll get further along than if you do nothing or than you think you're going to. So when you hear yourself saying things like, I can't do this, I can't do this, right? Yeah, okay, you're telling yourself this story, and the more you tell yourself this story, the more you are going to believe it. So even if you don't actually believe that you can do it, I want you to change those words. I can do this. It's just going to take me a long time. I can do this. I just need to do it slowly. I can do this. I just need to figure out the right way to move forward for me right now. You can do this. Everyone can do this. Period. Now, can everyone do this in 1 month? Probably not. Can everybody do this the same way as somebody else is doing it? Probably not. We have to find a strategy that works for you, but there is a path forward. This is not a dead end. There is always a path forward. And if you wake up every morning and you say to yourself, I am not going to go to sleep tonight until I figure out how to declutter for 5 minutes today, you will find that path forward. Challenge yourself every day. You can do this. And I will also say, working with now, we've had probably like 11,000 people, 12,000 people go through Clutter Boot Camp. And in our communities in general, we've had tens of thousands of people. And I totally forgot where I was going with this train of thought. There is a path forward. I don't even know what I was going to say. All I know is that maybe that's what I was going to say. There is a path forward, period. If you are waking up every day and you are trying to figure out that path forward, you are on the right path. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Okay. You can do it. But I can say for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, this is not the hardest thing that you have ever done. And probably one of the reasons that you have clutter is because you experienced something really, really difficult. So let's just honor the fact that you've had a difficult experience, maybe multiple really difficult, really traumatic experiences. And you are still here and you are still trying to figure it out. And that is freaking awesome. That is awesome. This is not going to be the hardest thing you have ever gone through. It's just difficult to know where to start, and it can weigh you down in different ways, but you can do this, and you have gotten through so much worse in the past. So never, ever, ever forget that. Never, ever, ever forget that. Okay, I have one more question here. Let's see. And this one is a practical question. Is there any way to get the smoke smell out of items, or is everything a loss? I don't want many items from my parents' home, but they were lifelong smokers. Do I just toss it all? I actually, so specifically, I do believe that you can get the smoke. And if anybody in the comments has advice about this, please share, because I don't have a great answer here. I believe you can get the smoke smell out of fabrics with certain washing, and air drying, I think, is really helpful personally. I don't know about other items, and I don't know specifically what items you're wanting to take, but I do believe there is ways to get smoke smell out of items. I'm going to do a little bit of research on this, and I will report back next week. But in the meantime, if anybody has advice, please go ahead and share it here about how to get, and I guess it could be really any odor out of things. And so let's see, we have a comment. My parents were smokers, and one thing for sure is that I found the smoke smell faded over time. I would agree, that's been my experience also, that the smells do fade over time. I think putting things in the sunshine can really help too, because the sunshine sanitizes, UV sanitizes things. But we'll do some research and definitely get a better answer on that one. All right, this has been a great discussion. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for supporting each other in the comments. You guys are amazing. You are so incredible. Stick with it. You're worth it. Fight for yourself. And don't forget to show up next week for another episode of Ask a Clutter Boss. I will see you next Tuesday, same time, same place. And then we're taking a 2-week break for the holidays, but we'll be back going strong first thing in January. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, everyone. Bye for now.